think about everything that's going on in the world right now. As we speak, ground forces in Israel making their way into the Gaza Strip. India still smoldering over the violence in Mumbai a month ago. We've got our own fronts in Iraq and Afghanistan, the whole meltdown of the economy, worldwide recession. God only knows what will happen. And of course, the challenges facing the president-elect are immense. I don't know if you heard Mike Huckabee's comment soon after the election when all this started to fall apart. Mike Huckabee said that this may be the only election in history where the winner asked for a recount. Okay. Given the nature and the gravity of the problems. A couple of weeks ago, if you're a dad, you'll understand this. A couple of weeks ago, I had a chance to spend just a few moments with my daughter, my youngest daughter, Elizabeth, home from college. She brought her car up, and every chance I get, I'll spend time with her. And so we went, even in doing this, I'd love it, for an oil change. Took her car in for an oil change. And she and I were sitting in the lobby while they were working on the car, and we were talking about world events, and I got out my iPhone and clicked on my Google Earth app and opened up the world and showed her some things, and she said, "And so what happened there in India a couple weeks ago?" And so I opened up India and showed her the border between India and Pakistan and tried to explain as much as I could about the current events. And then I showed her the border of Iraq and Iran and, and Afghanistan and where we're fighting in these places. And then it was just a day or so since Israel started making moves toward the Gaza Strip, and so I opened that up and showed her what was going on there, and she asked this question. It'll break your heart. It will break your heart, what she asked me. She said, "Dad, where will the next war be? Where will the next war be?" Of course, I couldn't know. I couldn't know if, I couldn't know when, but I knew that there would be sometime this year. We see it in the news today, another war. So in the midst of all of that, as we look into this new year of 2009 and try to manage our own lives, how should we live? Whether you're a believer in Christ, whether you're an inquirer, you're a seeker, you're exploring the claims of Christ at the start of this new year, how should we live? Oh, we'll have our own New Year's resolutions. I've got mine here. Actually, Fran found them. They were last year's resolutions, which I wrote up this time last year, and plans, hopes, changes, and renewals for 2008. And there are actually 31 of them on this sheet of paper, and I lost it sometime in the early part of last year. Fran found it and then gave it to me a couple of days ago. So I have my work cut out for me again. So we have this illusion that making these resolutions will somehow change or manage our life, but there are things going on around us in the macro environment that we cannot hope to change or control. How then should we live? And so we look back into the scriptures because they do speak to us, and particularly of what Jesus had to say to his disciples 2,000 years ago. He gathered his disciples, and then around them there was 1,000 other people that gathered up in this sort of bowl, this mountainside on the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee. And it was a natural amphitheater, and he spoke words to them which are echoed and transcribed for us here in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5. He spoke words to them that you know in your heart. You know them. They're in the language. They're in the parlance, if you will. He said to them 2 lines I can only focus on this morning. 2 lines. You are the salt of the earth, right? Salt of the earth. And then he goes on to say, you are the light of the world. Salt of the earth, light of the world. First of all, just look how different those two ideas are. Salt is something you can see, you can taste, you can touch, you can smell. But light, you can't see light. You can see its effect as it illumines things, but you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it. And he says, you're salt of the earth. That is, very materialistically, what can I do in this world, in my day-to-day life, the way I interface and connect to other people? What can I do to be salt of the earth? And to do that, to understand what he's trying to say, we have to go back and understand what salt was in the ancient world. Salt wasn't what it is today. You and I can go to the store and buy salt for about $1 in one of those Morton's salt cans. And we use it to flavor things. But in the ancient world, it wasn't used exclusively for that. It had a primary purpose to preserve meat, to preserve fish, to preserve beef. It's what the ancients would do. They would take salt and they would rub it into things to stop the process of decay, stop the process of decomposition, and make something that would rot all in and of itself, make something healthy and whole for nutrients. Well, that's what Jesus has in mind for us. He says, you are like that. You are to be the salt of the earth. You're to be everywhere, salted into the fabric of this world so that it will stop or slow down its process of decay. That's our challenge. Not only all of our life, but what I would call a New Year's revolution. Not resolution is a way you kind of, manage your life. Okay, I'm going to lose a little weight, going to pay off this, and I'm going to do a little bit better here and there. Okay, yes, but what if you could pick up the challenge, or Jesus asks you to imagine your life as salt of the earth? I kind of use salt this way now to preserve. Summertime, Fran and I live right over here. We were fortunate enough when we bought our house a couple years ago to have a pool with the house, and I actually learned how to keep care for a pool. I've never ever been able to do that, but I learned. And the number one ingredient is salt. We call it chlorine, but it's the number one ingredient. So we have a pool party, and the kids come over, and the grandkids, and the parents, and the pets, and everybody's in the pool. And then when they leave, it's cloudy. And then it's chemical warfare, okay? And I shock the pool, and I test its salt content, and I do everything I can to restore it. And the only thing through the summer, the only thing that keeps my pool crystal blue and clear from becoming a smoldering green swamp is salt. You can be that, Jesus says. You are that to the people all around you. People you're sitting next to, people in your family, your colleagues, if you're a teacher, your student, parents of your students, it doesn't matter. You are salt of the earth.